Taunting. It's always been a huge part of professional wrestling as it ties into a wrestler's character and persona, gets fans involved, and oftentimes it's a visual indication that something really big is about to happen in a match. But when it comes to wrestling games, it has been one of those features that has been kind of stuck in like a creative limbo. And basically just being pigeonholed as a generic way to add buffs to wrestlers. In my opinion, I feel like this feature could be so much more with just a little bit of creativity. And I just wanted to share some of my thoughts. So let's talk about it. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of taunts being relegated as just a buff mechanic, at least in terms of how things currently work. And this is just my personal opinion, but I don't think players should be rewarded any type of advantages for simply performing a basic taunt. If they're going to have buffs in the game, I'd rather they have to be activated through the special meter. So that way, at least it could feel like you have to earn it in a sense. Then if players choose to spend some of their special meter to activate these buffs, maybe their wrestler could perform like a signature taunt as a visual indication that the buff has been activated. That's just personally how I would handle the buff mechanic in terms of how it would translate across the gameplay. Now, as far as variety goes, I would definitely like to see more attribute buffs that would give players a stat boost for a short period of time. And what's crazy is a lot of the stat-based paybacks that were removed would be a perfect fit for this mechanic. So bringing back those would be a good addition to give some variety to the buff mechanic. Secondly, if we're keeping with the theme of crowd and opponent buffs, when it comes to the crowd buffs, I would like to see more crowd involvement. I personally think it would be crazy if we got superstar specific crowd chants when we activated these crowd buffs. Like imagine the crowd singing along to Seth Rollins' theme for the entire duration of his buff. And then having the crowd kind of taper off as the buff gets closer to expiring. I just think this would be a cool detail to throw in, man. I also feel like the buffs that you get for taunting your opponent should actually affect your opponent. Having something like not being able to gain momentum for a short period of time, or maybe making moves harder to reverse for them. These are just tentative ideas, but you kind of get the point that I'm trying to make. And this one might be a little out there because I legit just thought about this like as I was in the process of recording this video. But what if they use basic taunts like as a clever way for players to control certain aspects of like the crowd and maybe even like camera angles? So say like if you wanted to amp up the crowd noise and maybe make them boo or cheer a little loud, I guess depending on your character's heel or face alignment. Like if you taunt to the crowd, like they would get louder. I think this would be kind of cool because it would kind of kill those dead spots that you would get like a lot of times. Like you might be doing like a cool spot or something, but you got no crowd reaction. I think this could be a fix to that. Like if you just hit like a basic taunt or something like and get them kind of hyped up and then you could perform the move. That way it just kind of gives matches like more of a big fight feel, like if you need to. And the same thing with the player taunt. Most of the time, like if you notice in a wrestling match, when wrestlers tend to taunt their opponent or anything like that, the camera like zooms in on them so you can kind of see what's going on with the opponent. And it also zooms in on the person that's taunting. And it just gives things a more personal feel, in my opinion. And again, this is just something I thought of right off the top of my head. I say that to say, like, if I could just come up with this like off the top of my head, like while I'm recording a video, imagine what they could do, man, if they just put a little bit of thought and creativity into this. Spot calling is a concept feature that I've been working on that kind of covers several aspects of gameplay, but just for the sake of this video, we only going to focus on the role that taunts play. So basically what spot calling taunts are is just an expansion of the wake up taunt mechanic that gives players more control over how and where they want their opponent to wake up. Holding R2 and either tapping or holding a D-pad in different directions will make your opponent wake up in different positions in the ring. This could just make setting up different spots much easier and to help the flow of the gameplay. For example, say you wanted your opponent to sail towards the corner. So you can hold R2 and maybe tap the D-pad to the left and they will crawl to the corner and like sit in the corner. But holding R2 and also holding left on the D-pad would make them crawl to the ropes and pull themselves up in a standing position. Do me a favor and let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this idea so far. I would really appreciate the feedback. Even though this is a small detail, I'm still surprised it has not made it into the game. I mean, it just feels like one of those things you should be able to do. I mean, I think the showmanship of it all would just be cool to see. But you know what would be really amazing is like we had special weapon taunts in the game. Like just think of stuff like Triple H's, I guess, sledgehammer stare, like when he kind of stares at the sledgehammer when he pulls it out. Or like if we had like some tag team stuff, like just think of Bubba Ray Dudley's like Devon get the tables taunt, and like your tag team partner actually goes outside and like gets and sets up a table. I think that would be crazy, man. Like I said before, man, features like this are all about creativity, man. These are the kind of taunts where you actually make contact or like actually engage your opponent. Some of the more noteworthy ones that come to mind are Razor Ramon's toothpick toss, Penta Cero Miedo, and Rock's Just Bring It. And even down to the more common ones like a slap in the face or like a fake handshake. I just think being able to do things like this would just be a fun way to get under your opponent's skin and just kind of slap them around a little bit. It's just all in fun and showmanship. I would even take things a step further and go as far as to say we should be able to do a lot of these from different positions. Like imagine performing one of these taunts from behind and you get like the Big E, like New Day Rock's abdominal stretch. And even if like guys are on the ground, imagine Jericho doing like his Lion Tamer pin taunt. Like the possibilities are endless with this. And I'm going to say it again, man. It basically just boils down to creativity. But leave a comment down below, man, and let me know what you guys think about these ideas. And if you have any ideas of your own, please do not hesitate to go ahead and leave them down in the comment section. I would love to hear you guys' perspective. Do me a favor, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Share this video with 2K if you can find it, or share with your friends or whatever, man. It don't matter. Till next time, God bless.